So Ina and Jim are going to talk about the lights that were proposed for our athletic field and a little bit about all of their components and compliance with dark sky, lighting, glare, and pollution, et cetera. That'd be great. Yep. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ina Baker. I work with Musco Sports Lighting, which is the company that will be providing the lights here at Red Hook. It's a family-owned company out of Oskaloosa, Iowa. It's been around this is our 50th year this year. It is still family-owned. The person who founded it 50 years ago still works in engineering right in our Oskaloosa office. One thing that we strive to do is we are putting light control over everything. It is our job, it is our mission to make sure that we are protecting the night skies, neighbors, and just making sure that we're getting that light onto what the intended surface is and not in the surrounding areas. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dark Skies, but basically it is an organization that protects the night sky. Our fixture is dark sky compliant. We meet those certifications. Yeah, but it's my mission to make sure that the lights that go up at your school are in the community's best interest and we are providing the best fixture that we possibly can.
You want to, but I think just what was proposed for our project would be helpful. And then you let me know when you're ready for the lights. I can turn them off.
Um, so the sports field that was proposed was the football field. We are going to be lighting for football, lacrosse, field hockey, and then track events as well. So there'll be kind of different options that the school can do in the terms of lighting track events, walking track for the community, as well as the lights for the actual sporting events. Yeah, anything else? Pole heights, okay. Yep, so these poles, the two poles that are on the side of the neighbors, those are gonna be 70 feet tall. The ones on the opposite side are going to be 80 feet tall. Now, pole height, I'll go into example when I show the demonstration, but pole height is important for that light control. So typically with town variances, you'll see like 30-foot poles or 20-foot poles. Now, when it comes to actual sports lighting, we have to get that angle to actually make sure we're able to control that light and making sure that it's on those intended surfaces. So for example, this is a 70-foot pole to scale model. This represents around 100 feet off of that surface. So typically, for using our competitors and other sports lighting fixtures, they will just have the light, blast it, try to get those light levels there with no control. You want to shut the lights off? So this kind of just shows that light is blasting everywhere. There's no control. It's if your houses, neighbors, it's all going to be lit up. You're going to see that where some competitors and other sports lighting manufacturers will say, we're going to put a visor on. This will control the light. This will keep the light onto that intended surface. So here's that example of some visors that other people will add to their, go. But yeah, didn't really do much. They said they have a visor. There is a visor on it, but it's not really controlling any of that light. So this is what we have engineered. This is the exact fixture that will be on your sports field. So you can kind of see the cutoff is much greater. I mean, I can move it too. You're not getting blasted over here anymore. The fixture is used to directionally control that light and make sure it is staying on those intended surfaces, as well as protecting it from the sides, as well as the back. So the difference between spill and glare, that's typically one thing we talk about a lot. Spill is that light that was over there, not on the actual playing surface. So that is technically what spill is defined as. Now, glare is the measurement of glare is the experience of light that you're seeing. So technically right now, like we're not experiencing any glare. And that's because that actual diode, the light source is being completely covered. So any spill is anything that's off of the intended surface, where glare is anything you're experiencing by seeing that actual light source. So another reason with pole heights is, say your house is off of the backside and you're seeing, oh, we're gonna have 80-foot poles. Yep, the point of those 80-foot poles is so that we can get the angle needed to make sure that you guys will not be visibly seeing those diodes, so you won't be experiencing the glare that is coming from those light sources, if that makes sense.
Analogy I like is kind of like a stage lighting. When they flood the stage with light, the lights are close because it provides a broad light. But when you do, a focused beam, I forget what that's, a spotlight, that's further away because you can focus it better and you don't have to spread it. And that's kind of similar to what they're doing. They're getting the light higher so it can be focused better with and whatnot.
Ina, could you explain to the board the difference between what light is needed for a sporting event versus what light is needed for the walking track?
Yep. So it's all measured in a foot candle. So typically the IES, which is a engineering organization that sets the standards across the country for what light levels need to be met for sporting events. IES says that the standard for a football game, soccer game, lacrosse game is 50-foot candles. So for a regular sporting event, when these lights are at maximum, that is the light level that will be on the field. Now, for community walking track, we have made it so that there is a circuit that you can shut off all the lights and just have the walking tracks on. And I think the average for that is 6-foot candles. So it's a significantly lower light level strictly for community use. So when they say that the lights are going to be on for the community use of the walking track, it's not at that high beam maximum, which you're seeing here. It's going to be at a lower, dimmer level that is suitable for walking.
Can you talk to, because I thought it was so interesting when I heard this at the other meeting, the lumens, how your light lumens is less than like headlight. You gave some analogy about like
Yep.
what the lumens are. Maybe you could explain what lumens are,
Yep.
how they're measured, how the lights that we're proposing measure up to like lumens that we all interact with every day.
Yep. So that's two different things. So lumens and candela. So with the car, glare, when I say you experience glare, that measurement is candela. So you are experiencing glare measured in a candela. So when you're staring at a high beam headlight, that's around 10,000 candela, where the measurements that we have that we will exceed on these playing fields, I don't know if they have the scans, but it shows the highest reading of candela is around 400 on those houses. So just imagine when you're driving down the road, you're experiencing anything from 8 to 10 to 15,000 candela, depending on if it's an LED high beam, an HID high beam, where the candela readings on the field are significantly lower than that. And that's basically like, this would be 10,000 candela, where this comes down. I don't know the exact reading of candela for this, but you can just see that you can't see that light source. The candela is much lower. That's for the fixture that is aimed at. So if the fixture that is, so say like the light pole, the glare source that you can see that is producing the candela on the road where you're taking that measurement, that is what that reading is.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just a reminder that right now it's just questions for the board.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No worries.
Did I answer your question on Kate?
Yeah, you answered it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was very interesting because I didn't like, and I know I get blinded by headlights. So
Well, the difference between the glare and the,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
this,
4,000.
And then
Just to affirm like that is the quality of light.
Yeah.
400.
400.
Not 4,000.
Yeah.
Even better.
And then when you were kind of talking about the lumens, lumens are typically the same when it comes to HID and LED, but the big difference is the Kelvin temperature. So this Kelvin temperature is much higher versus what we have is a 5,700 Kelvin. And
Go ahead.
So I know there's been, questions as to, time frame which we might have the lights on, lighting for track at night versus sporting events. Are you, or could you, in your team put together some procedures, that, you share that we could look at so we could, that I guess community could understand, what our plans are for, when we would run the lights, when we would not run them.
That's a great idea. There's a lot of misinformation that's been out, so that would be helpful.
Yeah, I've seen a number of flyers that have had statements that some, had some inaccuracies in there. And I think in part it's just, we haven't communicated, exactly what our procedures are.
So I think from the very beginning, because it's not a turf field, there's going to be very limited use on that. So I'm going to turn it over to Erin. She'll talk about the amount of games that can be played on it. And kind of our thought process about when we would leave the track lighting on as well.
Right. So because it's a grass field, we're limited in how we can use it, what sports we can use it for. So as a grass field, it's used for football and for boys varsity lacrosse, and then obviously the track around for track and field events. So because of that, I believe that the varsity football season is 8, maybe 9 games. Half of those are home games. So we're looking about 4 to 5 football games, maybe a track event in the spring at night. But as Mr. Casada will tell you, there are track and field events that can only be played in the daylight. So the feasibility of doing night events for that is slim to none. And lacrosse is interesting because the ball is so small, it has to be completely pitch dark in order to have a nighttime lacrosse game. So that means starting a lacrosse game this time of year around 8 o'clock at night. So that would not be something that is feasible to have as evening games. So we had talked about maybe a maximum of 10 athletic events at night for the entire school year. The majority of the time the lights would be used. Well, our promise to the community was that we would have them on for walking the track. So we would be looking at an academic calendar, September to June, but even in June, it's lighter out late enough that we don't necessarily need to put the lights on. We do have a timer for the lights so that we can set an end time. And then in the winter, when we have a winter like we did this year, it is not feasible for us to plow the track. So there could be months where it's just not usable. And in those situations, the lights would not be on.
There are some of us who actually still run on it.
Okay, run.
Now you're just someone
Just look. Other questions?
Anyone?
Happening at other events happening on the field that we would need the lights for? It's just
So
the
it's-
school district.
Yeah, I mean,
sports
there
events.
may be, so in the past, we've given like Saturday during the day to Pop Warner. But we don't use that as a practice field because of our limited use. So there may be a scenario if we have met the heat index in August and the kids can't play in the sunshine because it's too hot. Maybe they'd have a practice at night under the lights, but that would not be the norm.
Any other questions?
No.
No?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.